Hello guys, it's One Piece Day again. Welcome to my channel, and let's talk about One Piece manga chapter 1067, Punk Records. In the previous chapter, Shaka relays Dr. Vegapunk's findings and theory regarding the Void Century to the Straw Hats. According to him, there existed a highly advanced civilization 900 years in the past. Dr. Vegapunk tells her what happened to O'Hara after she left. At that time, Dr. Vegapunk visited the ruins of O'Hara to pay his final respects to Dr. Clover. He discovered was a bunch of giants salvaging the books thrown in the lake in attempt to save them. Shaka relays Dr. Vegapunk's findings and theory regarding the Void Century to the Straw Hats. Monkey D. Dragon soon appeared. Dragon was yet to become the founder of the Revolutionary Army then, but he was already acquainted with the genius inventor. But before anything else, please click the bell, like, share, and subscribe to my channel, Animajack. Thank you. Germa 66 An emotionless excursion. What's your name again? Judge vs. Caesar. Judge and Caesar clown start fighting each other. One Piece chapter 1067. Bonnie asks the doctor what happened to the rest of his head, claiming it used to be like a massive light bulb. Vegapunk says it was getting too long, so he cut it, prompting Bonnie to say they're not talking about hair. When Vegapunk last saw Bonnie, he was nearly as tall as a giant. Jinbe claims to have heard rumors about Vegapunk's large head but stops when Bonnie says it's the size of an air balloon. Vegapunk explains that his appearance was caused by eating brain fruit. The fruit transformed him into a brainy human, allowing him to memorize an infinite amount of information at the expense of increasing his brain size proportionally. He describes it as a useful skill for a born genius like him, claiming to have the world's largest brain that is still growing. Luffy wonders if he put it somewhere, while Chopper marvels at Vegapunk's vast medical knowledge. Luffy inquires of Vegapunk whether he is dumb now that his brain has been removed, prompting Vegapunk to reprimand him briefly before explaining that the apple on his head is an antenna. He points out the top half of the island's massive egg, emphasizing its Punk Records label. He claims it's the hangar where he keeps his brain, and that being away from it isn't harmful because his antenna detects brainwaves and transmits data. He then explains the Vegapunk satellites to Luffy's group, pointing out how Atlas was one of his 6 clones on the island. He explains that each is an aspect of his personality, as they are experts in their respective fields of study. He also emphasizes that, while they make up who he is as a whole, they accomplish 6 times as much work as separate entities. Dr. Vegapunk then explains how each of the 6 Vegapunk satellites connects to Punk Records once a day to synchronize all of their memories and knowledge. Dr. Vegapunk also claims that the value of each of their experiences is enhanced by their distinct personalities and responsibilities. Luffy and Jinbe are confused, prompting Dr. Vegapunk to compare it to sharing the same library. He then fantasizes about allowing everyone on the planet to connect to Punk Records and gain access to his knowledge. He continues, saying that if everyone updated their Punk Records, it would create a sea of data that dwarfs what he can do alone. Jinbe, however, points out that allowing everyone in the world to share potentially conflicting ideologies and the inherent bias there would lead to trouble. Dr. Vegapunk claims he is correct, but science cannot progress if time is spent worrying about such speculative consequences. Then sees an enraged Bonnie declare that Vegapunk's problem is precisely that, namely, shrugging off sacrifices in the name of progress. She points her lightsaber at Dr. Vegapunk and says that her father was turned into a heartless weapon because of this. He tries to tell her that it's broken, but she says she knows it works because she's used it before. She demands that Kuma go back to normal and threatens to kill him if he doesn't. Vegapunk informs her that the lightsaber attracts a ludicrous number of bugs, causing a massive swarm of insects to rush to Bonnie. Dr. Vegapunk says that he can understand why Bonnie wants him dead after she passes out after screaming and crying. He also says that it's funny that one of his many failures saved him. He then seems to remember something about Wano. He asks if they were recently there, before asking if a dragon just like Kaido had appeared there. Luffy, of course, recognized this second dragon as Momonosuke, prompting Dr. Vegapunk to say he ate the defective fruit he left on Punk Hazard. He explains that it was an artificial devil fruit he made after 20 years of researching Kaido's lineage factor. However, he bemoans the countless resources he expended on its creation because he couldn't get it just right. Luffy, on the other hand, points out that Momonosuke can do everything Kaido can, including flying, breathing fire, and creating flame clouds. Dr. Vegapunk asks what color he was, to which Luffy responds pink, sending Dr. Vegapunk into a tizzy as he calls the discoloration a monumental failure. Jinbe point out that Dr. Vegapunk must be a genius and a perfectionist. The group moves on to discussing the ancient robot. Dr. Vegapunk says he didn't make it, but it is the legendary robot that attacked Marie-Joyce about 200 years ago. He also says it was built more than 900 years ago, which means it was around during the Void Century. Dr. Vegapunk says he still doesn't know what it was meant to do, but he heard that it ran out of power before it could hurt anyone. Vegapunk talks about how amazed scientists must have been at the time since none of them knew where it came from or what it was meant to do. He also says that the world government wanted it to be destroyed, but scientists brought it to Egghead Island so it could be passed down in secret. Dr. Vegapunk congratulates them for finding this hidden place, saying that it looks like a normal wall from the main town. However, Luffy explains that they just stumbled here since they were all old and senile from Bonnie's devil fruit, with Chopper adding that they were plain old lost. Then cuts to Sanji's group, who are being shown and told the same thing as Luffy's group. Robin points out that the Fishmen rights movement gained traction around 200 years ago. Shaka explains that Vega Force 01 was built on what he learned from it, but he lacked the ability to reverse engineer every aspect of it. He admits that he was unable to replicate its power source, claiming that it was some ancient power source that destroyed their modern ideas of what was possible. The Straw Hats seem disinterested in this, with Nami saying that she's happy Luffy is okay as the others debate on whether or not Jewelry Bonnie is really with them. Then cuts back to Luffy's group, where Vegapunk is saying he truly did a terrible thing to Bonnie. Luffy agrees, saying he should forgive her, prompting Dr. Vegapunk to tell him he knows nothing of the situation. He says there's something he has to give to Bonnie but quickly follows this up by saying he feels like fate brought Luffy to Egghead Island today. Then, Dr. Vegapunk is seen asking Luffy to take him away from Egghead Island, which is probably also a reference to the world government. A shocked Luffy cries out as shifts to CP0's ship. They are seen sailing through the waters surrounding Egghead Island, destroying various robots before hailing Egghead to request entry to the port. The Kuma Seraphim is then seen with Rob Lucci, Keiko, and Stussy. Lucci claims that Bonnie has been spotted here as well and that if they see her, they should kill her because she served her purpose. Shaka is told by Pythagoras that a government ship is coming, which makes him wonder what CP0 wants with them and why Rob Lucci is here. Lilith says they should turn over the pirates because Lucci is, after all, a killer. When Usopp and Nami hear Lucci's name, they start to freak out. Meanwhile, Sanji tells Robin that he will always protect her. Shaka says that they'll tell them to hand over Seraphim Kuma and leave, declining their request to dock at the island. Shaka also says that he doubts they'll respond well to that, telling everyone to prepare for battle. Meanwhile, shifts to the Kamabaka Kingdom, where Lindbergh is calling out to Kuma, telling him they're trying to repair him. Kuma is still hooked up to many cables, but he seems to be trying to move. This makes everyone around him wonder what's wrong and if the Marines still have control over him. He starts running away all of a sudden, which makes Koala ask him where he's going and tell him he's not in good enough shape to move like that, especially since no one seems to know what he's doing or where he's going. Dragon and Ivankov are then seen calling out to him, with Dragon asking him to talk to them and where he wants to go so badly. Ivankov, meanwhile, tells him to stay with them, and that the fighting isn't done and the Revolutionary Army is just getting started. That's all for today, Animaniacs. Thanks for watching. See you again next time for another One Piece episode. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel for weekly updates.